Yes, hello everyone, welcome to a very windy Vitality Stadium down here at the South Coast. I haven't been home. For a lot of you who follow me on social media, I've had a bit of a nightmare getting back. 5 airports I visited in one day. 5 that is, because my flight got cancelled. Absolute joke. EasyJet, so I had to make alternative arrangements to go to different airports to try and get home, pick up my car, which was at a different London airport. Alright, carry on. So I've stayed down here just to calm the proceedings. I'm not stressed out. I was going to say it's a nice day. It's not. It's a very windy day today. So my plan was to go up the beach, but that's not happening. I'm going to get the New Forest instead. But I'm here to talk about 2 things for you today, because I've seen this bubble in the last 2 days, and I thought, let's hang on about the Premier League and the not allowing fellow clubs to do deals and loan players. We will come to that very, very shortly, but I do want to touch upon, because Eddie Howe had his press conference a little bit earlier, a couple of hours ago, basically because he's returning back to where he was very, very successful here at the Vitality. But or some people might want to still call it Dean Court. That's what I'd normally know it as. But straight to it, obviously the effects of midweek, how many injuries we got. We've seen Callum Wilson taken off at half-time. It's going to be very, very tight. Eddie Howe's been quoted saying Callum has a tight hamstring. We're doing various tests on him. We'll see how he does this morning before making a decision on the game. Other than that, we have no fresh injuries from the other night. So I guess that's good in some aspects. There's no other injuries. Wilson's not as serious, but the question is then, do you risk him for this game knowing he might have a slight tweak? Because can Newcastle get through this game without Callum Wilson? I still think that this is a winnable game. I think this is a perfect opportunity for Newcastle United to bounce back. You're playing a team who have only won 1 game all season. It's a fantastic opportunity, despite all the injuries, to bounce back. What more could you ask for? A team who've only won 1 game all season. Come on. However, great opportunity to bounce back before the international break and get all the injuries back. If Callum Wilson doesn't make it, that obviously means that Anthony Gordon will play up top without a shadow of a doubt. We'll carry on what he said about the season so far. Eddie Howe said the players have done incredibly well to adjust to the difficult start that we've had. It's been a test of their character. We've been close in those games but didn't get the result we wanted, but it's been an intense period. We've been stretched mentally and physically, but the players have responded well, and that is a big compliment to what they've given. Now we need to finish this period off well against Bournemouth. He also touched upon about those injuries as well. He said he's never known anything quite like this before, which for a manager who's obviously been in the game for quite a while now, despite his fairly young age, because he started off really well, the amount of first team players that are injured is it's just through the roof, isn't it? It is, isn't it? Let's be honest. So many who are out in the moment. So it's not just that, I'm talking about injuries. You're talking about a lengthy ban for Sandro Tonali. Bruno Gomes is suspended as well, so you expect Joe Willock to come in like for that, but the bench is going to be incredibly weak or full of kids. The good thing from the bench, though, is Emil Kraft and Matt Ritchie will come back onto the bench because they are not registered for the Champions League. He said on Isaac and Botman, he said that Alex is doing well. He's working on his fitness levels. We're building up his load, and the plan for him to return is after the international break. And no massive news on Sven. He's progressing well. He's been away in Holland, and he thinks he's back there today, so you'll ask him how he's getting on. But none of those two as well, which is a shame. We just need this. It's a perfect time to get this game, win it, and go on international break, get people back, as I say already. Obviously, touch upon Bournemouth having a great manager, etc., etc. But let's face it, they're struggling. They are really struggling, and I think Newcastle, without doubt, need to win this game. If they've got real aspirations to get in the top 4, you've got to come to Bournemouth and win. We drew here last season. I think we've got to go on and win. You talked about Lewis Smiley as well, who came on against Dortmund in midweek. He said that Lewis certainly is going to have a prominent role in our future generally. The way he came into the game at Dortmund when we chased the match was hugely impressive. He used the ball well and physically looked really good after his illness. So expect him to come off the bench at some point, you would think. Look, the bench is going to be full of kids. It's going to be full of fringe players who barely kick a ball. But, Callum Wilson will be eager to play here. Matt Ritchie's obviously played here as well. So he'll be eager to return because he lives not too far in Gosport. But look, the story about the Saudi stuff, I've got to touch upon that because that's been bubbling away. The Premier League, I want to go back to the VAR. This agenda that the Premier League is against Newcastle. The Premier League as a company are not against Newcastle United. I'll say that publicly. I'll say that because it's not. Other clubs don't want Newcastle to succeed. Yes, that's different. So how it works in the Premier League, for something to happen, you've got to have 14 clubs vote in favour for something to happen. So, in this goes against fair trade if this is true, and this is if, because this is pure speculation at the moment. There is a hearing, I believe, on November the 21st. The Premier League clubs will meet and discuss. But, and it's alleged that Newcastle United will not be able to loan players from clubs with the same affiliation, i.e. the PIF. So the PIF, of course, own 4 Saudi clubs. Newcastle United have a centre midfield who's banned for 10 months. It would be a perfect opportunity to go and get a centre midfielder, to bring him in on loan, problem solved, get around it. That is rumoured that's going to stop, because Newcastle United are obviously linked to bringing in Ruben Neves, and there could be 1 or 2 other names as well. However, that hasn't stopped clubs in the past. You look at the Manchester City ownership. David Villa has played in Australia, has played in the MLS. Frank Lampard went over New York. He came back to Man City. Watford, Udinese have done it. Granada, all the same parent company. They've all done it. They've all used each other. They've all sent them out on loan to smaller clubs even down the English pyramid. It happens. They use each other's players to get around financial fair play because they're loaning them in. And they're wanting to stop that. But it's funny because Newcastle United are involved. It'll strengthen Newcastle, which us fans think, well, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's against fair trade, surely. So that's the first one. The second one, we already knew about the ownership of the Saudis coming in and taking Newcastle United in. We've done fantastic well. Eddie Howe's talked about his 2 year at the club already. I'm pointing behind us. I don't know why. It's not Bournemouth, because we're playing here. He's already talked about his 2 year at Newcastle, which has been fantastic. Said he's made some fantastic memories. But the 2 years since the ownership have come in, you know, the Premier League have done, well, not the Premier League itself, the clubs of the Premier League have done everything hard to try and stop Newcastle from making commercial deals. So Newcastle's deal was, what, 25 million a year? The latest one with Salah. And there is another legislation alleged, I must stress alleged, to be coming in again, which prevents the likes of Newcastle United using their parent company from whatever they own to bring in money. So i.e. we can't have another Salah happening unless it's shown that it has fair market value and we have a few offers on the table. So I'll just give you, I'm just looking around. We've got a Peugeot there, a Toyota, a BMW, an Audi, a Vauxhall, right, just all. Let's just say those 5 companies come in, and then there's a Saudi one as well at the same time. As long as they're all similar kind of value, the Premier League will allow Newcastle to go and get the Saudi one. This is alleged. And this is going to be voted on by the Premier League clubs. So they need 14 out of 20 to happen. And then this is, of course, is coming from Mr. Hope from the Daily Mail. So we'll have to see on that. I believe that's going to happen on November the 21st. But look, the Premier League clubs are threatened by Newcastle because we are now a contender to compete. We're not quite almost getting trophies. We were close last season with the final. But look, they don't want another Manchester City happening because that could happen to Newcastle. Financial fair play wasn't there. We'll be a Manchester City. We'll be buying everybody. We'll be going to get the top stars. We'd just go, right, Mbappe, get yourself to Jesmond. How are you coming with us? So that would happen. But obviously financial fair play has stopped Newcastle. And we've bought sensibly the last 2 years. Look at the signings: Chris Wood, Matty Targett, Dan Burns springs to mind. Not glamorous signings, but they've done a job. And Dan Burns done a fantastic job, by the way, so I'm probably being a little bit harsh on him. That's the Eddie Howe news. Alleged rumours happened with the Saudis. We'll have to wait on November 21st to see what happens with that. But that'll be the Premier League clubs. And the Premier League itself, of course, with the VAR, voted in favour that the goal was legit. The panel, 4-1 for the goal Anthony Gordon scored against Arsenal. So the Premier League aren't against Newcastle United, the company. It's some of the clubs just don't like the fact that Newcastle United are going to compete. That's what it's down to. But anyways, I'm going to love yous and leave yous from the Vitality. Please join me for all of the match stuff. We have a match vlog, we have match reaction, and for the first time in a long time, I'm going to be doing the last word live. Yes, I'm going to be back in the hotel doing it live with you so you can interact with it. That'll be later on in the night because it's obviously the evening kick-off. That's probably going to be something daft like 11 to 12 o'clock at night. But anyways, it's kind of sunny, it's kind of windy, but I love yous and leave yous because I'm going to make a day of this. Ta-da, everyone.